Hi friends, it's your girl Sarah here once again. So welcome to the Words of Wisdom on Facebook and on Instagram. On Instagram, my name on Instagram is Sarah Amafo, and on Facebook, of course, is Wow Facebook Forum or Words of Wisdom Facebook Forum. So as I said, welcome the first person. You can say hi. So hi Doreen, thanks for joining. So today we want to have a brief discussion. We're going to talk about building strong relationship. Hi Kwachi, always on time. Thanks for coming. So we are talking about building a strong relationship with your spouse, or how to build strong relationship with our spouse. Anita, always on time. Thanks for coming. Why am I coming up with this topic, or why are we discussing this today? So a friend of mine got in touch with me and she was like, Sarah, you need to talk about how to continue loving your spouse. He said, do a video on hi Anita. She said, do a video on how to continue loving your spouse. And when she said, we both laughed, over it. But later on, when I thought of it, I'm like, Charlie, it's really an important discussion, how to continue loving your spouse, because I tell you, the initial stages of marriage is like awesome, everything is good. But as time goes on, you become so used to each other. It's like, is there anything new? Like, what's up? Warren and 1 year. Is that what marriage is all about? And we can easily let go of our love for each other. And then you start fighting, quarreling over unnecessary things, and you are always, at each other's neck and all that. So we're going to talk about how to keep loving our spouse, how to build a strong relationship. You might think, oh, they are married, so they are okay. No. There are some marriages, they started well, but later on, it's as if everybody is doing their own thing. And then before you know, the marriages are on the brink of divorce. I mean, we see that around. Look at Bill Gates and the wife. Like, they've been married for how many years? 30 something, 40 years, only to come out and tell us that we don't think we can grow together. So you ask yourself, what happened in the middle? Then they see and they want to divorce. What happened that you've been married for how many years? 30 something years. And now you're telling us that you can't grow together. We don't want to get to that point. Okay, we don't want to marry for so long only to come and tell each other that I think we can grow together. We don't want to get to that point. So we're going to bring some pointers, some things to help us to build a strong relationship. I've been married for only 7 years. I admit I'm still a babe in this whole marriage thing. But at least 7 years is a good experience, right? To gather something. And I want to freely share some of the things that have worked for me, some that did not work for me, and where we're going. So I trust that these things, just a few, today I'll be a little bit fast, just a few that can help us. The first thing that I want us to talk about is developing the feeling of we, the feeling of being a part of each other. The Bible is always wise when he says that the two shall become one. When I started my counseling school, I realized that, for most people in North America, their whole oneness business, it just doesn't apply. I understand we are two separate individuals. We need to build ourselves individually. But sometimes, hello Rebecca, sometimes we neglect the part of the oneness. Okay, when you talk to a typical North American, it's like this and that. They hardly say Mr. and Mrs. and then the man's last name. No. Mostly it's the woman's name, the man's name. I get it. They are two separate individuals. But when you go to Africa, we are like Mr. and Mrs. Amafo, Mr. and Mrs. Kwachi, because we identify them as one. But it's not so to everybody. But I just want to say that even if in title, okay, we don't want to acknowledge that God is always wise when he says one. The two shall become one. I just want to teach how these things can become practical in our life. The feeling of being a part of each other, the feeling of being one. This thing has to start when you guys are dating. You don't wait until you get married and then you're like, oh, let's try to be one. You start when you're dating. I always tell young people that, or single people that, when you're dating, do you feel a sense of you being a part of that person? Does that person feel a sense of you being a part of them? Like, I would always use myself as an example. When I was dating, It got to a point, my boyfriend, my husband now, he'll be telling me to do certain things or don't do certain things. I'm like, Masa, we are not married yet, so leave me alone. And then you keep telling me that, you know what, to me, you're my wife. And by the time you know that you're my wife, it will be too late. So, madam, please listen to me. Don't do ABCD. At the point we're dating, he saw me as a part of him. And you could feel it literally. He won't take any decision without telling me. Wherever he is, he feels a part of me. It got to a point, he feels I am a part of him. He got to a point he was like, he's even feeling scared because we are not married yet, but he feels so much like I'm a part of him. And then he wonders, what if I leave him? But of course, by God's grace, I didn't leave him. But it was the same thing for me. It's like if you're talking about Sarah, you're talking about Norbert. If you're talking about Norbert, you're talking about Sarah. That sense of we are together. We are not separate. Some people are married and you get amazed when you hear them talk about their spouse. It's like, oh, Sarah Kwano. Oh, that guy. Oh, yes, him. Me. It's like they're talking about a stranger, but it's their husband. That's how people are married and they do that. They don't feel that proud of each other. Like, you don't see that togetherness in everything they do. They act like two separate individuals. It's good, but if you want to build a strong relationship with your spouse, the two of you must really be one. One thing I did when we were dating, I'm not saying you should do, but I just wanted my husband or my fiancé then to become a part of my family. I used to invite him home several times, and even on one occasion, my mother let him spend the night in our house. Of course, my daddy was smart, and we didn't sleep together. We gave him his room. My daddy was so mad. He was like, why would he come and spend the night in my house? I don't like that. You should have seen the drama that night. But I thank God for my mom. My mom was like, no, let him just spend the night. If this person is the one that your daughter wants to marry him, he has to know who we are as a family. We have to see whether we can even take him as a son-in-law. So they allowed him to spend the night. And the whole sense of spending the night in our home, my family home, waking up to greet my mom, having breakfast. Like, I don't know how many men will spend the night in their girlfriend's house, family home, and feel so welcomed, and the next day they want to break up. Like, it makes you feel like you're already part of the family. We accommodate you. So it was one good thing. So even before we got married, to my family, they knew him. He was a part of us. And he would invite me to his home. I knew his sisters, I knew his parents, aunties. That's togetherness. We built it before we even got married. And that is what I want to encourage us. Don't be like it's him and then you are liaising with your family members and then against him or her. It won't work. So build that part of togetherness. It's the two of you. If something happens to you, it happens to her. If something happens to her, it happens to you. Build that togetherness, that oneness. Today I said I won't talk much. Let's go to the next one. We are talking about appreciating each other. When I was doing research on this thing, almost everybody that was talking about building a strong relationship, talk about appreciating each other. And I can't stress this enough. If you want to enjoy your marriage, if you want this marriage that you have begun to last, learn to appreciate each other. The little tiny things. Learn to say thank you. It works, it works, Papa. It's like magical. Like if you have read Gary Chapman's love language, number one is appreciation. Appreciate each other. I'll give you the story. Today is more like a story time. Like I have learned together with my husband, like thanking, saying thank you to each other almost all the time. Like if I cook, he'll say, Mommy, why are you at it? You are doing well. Thank you. Thank you for taking time to cook for the family. If I clean, take care, anything I do, he will say thank you. And the same for me, anything he does. Like sometimes I'm so exhausted and he will clean the dishes or take care of the children. I try to remember and say thank you. Let me tell you what happened on one occasion. So on one occasion, I was so exhausted, I think from work and so many things. So we went to church. Immediately I came back. I just couldn't stand. I was hungry, but I was too tired. I wanted to sleep. So I think I just ate something little and I told him, Damasa, I'm going to sleep. I can't. And then I told him that, oh, please, if you can you please prepare light soup? I feel like eating maybe banku or fufu with light soup. So can you please prepare light soup for me? I would really appreciate it. Of course, he didn't say anything. I said, okay, I went to sleep. And then when I woke up, now I'm hungry. So I woke up straight to the kitchen, hoping that there was light soup. I went there, I opened the dishes, no light soup. So, of course, I just got disappointed. I was like, So he didn't even do the light soup. But I forgot something. So I just went and took something and ate. I didn't say anything. Of course, he also didn't say anything. We just went about our normal day. And then in the evening, the middle of the night, like just when I was about to sleep, it was like, hey, mommy. So after sleeping, like when you woke up, didn't you see how clean the kitchen was? I was like, was it really clean? I was like, oh, was it really clean? Like, I didn't pay attention to it. He said, I knew it because you were just expecting light soup. So you didn't even see that I had cleaned the whole kitchen area. Everything was clean. And I just laughed. I said, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I wanted the light soup so badly. So because there was no light soup, of course, I was disappointed. I didn't even see anything. And I just said, oh, thank you. I think it was I didn't even notice the place was clean. Thank you very much. But that struck me. You know, all this I've been saying, oh, thank you. I didn't know how much that meant for him or to him. I didn't know how much that meant to him to hear me say thank you for the things he does, right? So because I had this oversight, I didn't see that he had cleaned the kitchen. It meant a lot to him. To him, it was like, why is she not saying anything? Didn't she see that I cleaned the kitchen? And for him to ask me in the middle of the night, that means that guy really wanted me to say thank you for what he did. And of course, when he reminded me, I appreciated it. But my bad, because I was expecting more and I didn't even see that the kitchen was clean, even though the soup was not done. Please don't be like me. Of course, the good thing is that I accepted my bad and I apologize. Okay? But some people will go like, you've cleaned the kitchen and so what? I mean, it's not normal. But these little things, the man couldn't sleep. Actually, he couldn't sleep. Oh, he needed a thank you before he could sleep. And immediately I was like, oh, I didn't even see. He just stayed and slept. He's like, wow, he just slept. I go, sorry. So this thank you is so important. If you come back from work and your wife has prepared nice meal for you, the whole place is clean. Some men would just, oh, today they were so tired, they just go and bath and sleep. Please, this little thank you, the things our mouth can do, appreciating your spouse, it will build a strong relationship among the two of you. Even when your husband drives you around, you want to say thank you. Anything. Let it become a culture. We've taught our children. So for my son, even if I give him food, when I cook and they eat, my husband will insist, hey, what do you tell mommy? And they all say, mommy, thank you for the food. I do the same thing. When my husband bathes them, like after bathing them, maybe I'm busy, he goes to dress them, I tell them, hey, did you say thank you to daddy for bathing you? So it becomes a culture in our home. Build this and you will begin to enjoy your marriage. I promise you, you will. You will definitely enjoy it when you begin to thank your spouse for everything. And if you are dating, start from dating. Appreciate every little thing. I don't want to talk too much, so we will end it there. The third one I want to share with you is communication. I know I've said communication several times, but today I want to give you a different perspective about communication. I'm breaking it to two. The first part of the communication is listening. And then the second part will be healthy confrontation. Let's talk about the listening first. When we hear communication, most of us is like, oh, let's talk. Like talking, it's good. But another important aspect in marriage when it comes to communication is listening to each other. I can't stress it enough. I've become a victim of it. I know how it's worried me. I know how it caused fights and troubles in my home because I wasn't listening. I learned it the hard way, and I don't want you to do that. If you are watching me this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you are, whenever you watch this video, please, whether you're the husband or the wife, learn to listen to your spouse. It will bless you, Papa. It will bless you, and it will make you start enjoying your marriage. When I got married at first, my first day in marriage, I'm stubborn. Like everybody who knows me know I'm stubborn. I hardly listened. Like, for me to sit down for my husband to talk. Before he finished one sentence, I have said 10. Of course, I like talking. Everybody knows that. But that aspect of listening, I wasn't good at it. And then even apart from not paying attention to what he's saying, when I eventually keep quiet for him to talk, I wouldn't do what he says. I'm confessing here today. I'm confessing. I wouldn't listen to I wouldn't do what he asked me to do. So when we met on campus, we were always fighting. Like when we're dating, we're always fighting. Because Norbert will say, Mommy, don't wear this type of wig. Don't wear this type of dress. Of course, I wouldn't listen. We got married. He's like, don't do this. Don't let us, maybe don't do this. Don't go here. Don't wear this dress. It was about dressing and the hairstyle and everything. I wouldn't listen because in my mind, you know what, this feminist thinking. Please, if you're a young lady listening to me, this feminist business thing is not going to help you when you marry. I am telling you for a fact. And if you are a man, this is not a point of controlling. It's not going to help you. Some men are like, why should I listen to my wife? That one to not help. Let me say about the women first, and I come to the man. So for me, he will say this, I will do that. He said this, I will do that. And I was always arguing, you know. To me, it was like, I felt as if he was controlling me. And mostly when you're single, that's what the mindset you have. And when you are an independent woman like me, you know, you don't want anybody telling you what to do, right? But it doesn't work like that when you get married. It doesn't work. It took me a long time to learn. I felt like, why are you telling me what to wear? Why are you telling me the wig I should put on? Why are you telling me the hairstyle I should do? Why? Every time was, why? You're now controlling everything I do. Blah, 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 blah. And that will be, you know, talking back. Oh, God, forgive me. Forgive me, forgive me. If you are like me then, please change. Now I've changed. And I one time, we had that's where the confrontation comes in. We had a conversation that changed me. He realized that this girl is becoming stubborn. She won't listen to anything. He has to give me 1,001 reasons why I should do what he wants me to do. So one time he sat me down. He was like, Mommy, why? You don't want to listen to anything I tell you. Why? And I'm like, yeah. Why are you telling me what to wear? Dinah, you are here. Hi. Why are you telling me what to wear? Why are you controlling my life? And he was like, you really think I'm controlling your life? You really think I want to control your life? No. I tell you all this thing because I love you and I want the best for you. And that broke me. I'm like, oh, so I've really been stubborn. It's like, yeah, why would I want to control you? I tell you these things because I think it's good for you. It will help you. So if you will listen to me, it will help you. I am not here to control you. And for most of us ladies, sometimes when we marry and we are independent, you know, we think, yeah, my husband can tell me what to do, right? But if you know your husband loves you, please listen to them when they tell you something. Please listen to them and it's going to help you. And do what they want you to do. It makes them love you more. Of course, I'm not talking about those who are controlling, you know. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about abusive spouse. But if you know that this man loves me, if he advises you, take it. If he tells you don't do this hairstyle, he's doing it because he loves you. It took me a long time to understand this thing. And, you know, talking back and arguing and all that. Today, as I was just thinking, pondering over this, I just remember that at a point, my husband was like, you know what, even if you would not listen to me or obey me for being your husband, just acknowledge that I'm older than you. Just see me as your elder brother. And when I began to see my husband as my elder brother, it made me a better wife. Maybe you are of the same age with your husband. Maybe you are even older than him. But when you begin to have this perception that, okay, if not anything, let me see him as my big brother. Of course, you won't just get up and talk back anyhow to your big brother or your senior sister. You wouldn't do that, right? You wouldn't just, unless of course you're a bad girl. Like you everybody knows that you don't respect. But on the normal day, you will respect your senior brother, right? So I just began to see him like that. I just began to appreciate him like that. So when he talks, sometimes even when I'm furious, I just imagine talking to my senior brother, and I'm like, okay, if it was my senior brother, definitely I won't just insult or just talk back anyhow. And that has really helped me. So all I'm trying to say is that, wives, there are so many theories out there. You're independent, nobody can go. Why is this thing not be stable? I said be stable. You're independent, nobody can control your life. If you go to marriage with this mindset, you are going to destroy your home. And for the men, please learn to listen to your wife as well. Don't take a major decision without discussing with your wife. Appreciate the little comments, the little advices she gives you. It will make your wife also feel very, very, very appreciated, right? So listening is very, very important. The other aspect I want to talk about is healthy confrontation. Sometimes we don't know how to confront our spouses when they're doing something we don't like. Some people will say, well, son Obeya, let him continue doing it. You know what, let me fix this thing. Just give me a second. Kwachi, you see why I need that thing? Okay. Thank you. We'll just be like that. We'll just leave it like that. So I was talking about healthy confrontation, right? So I missed what I was talking about. So healthy confrontation. Sometimes when our spouses are doing something we don't like, some of us, we don't know how to tell them that I don't like what you're doing. We either keep it to ourselves or we never tell them. Or when we are ready to tell them, we go and fight. Okay, let me just hold this thing. I'll just hold this one. When your spouse is doing something you don't like, get the courage and talk to them in a nice way. Healthy confrontation is always very, very important. Some people, I spoke to one of my friends, she's like, yeah, sometimes he does certain things I won't even tell him because I don't want it to bring fight. No, if you don't tell them what you don't like, how do you expect them to change? If there is anything they are doing you don't like, please tell them in a healthy way. I don't like it when you do this. In counseling, we learned something that they said that you don't tell somebody, maybe you are saying I'm stupid or you make me feel stupid. No, you say that when you say ABC, I feel stupid. You don't say you are making me feel stupid, because it is your responsibility to feel whatever you feel, right? You don't have to feel something because somebody is doing something. So you tell the person, maybe when you tease me, oh, you're at work. Okay, thank you, Dinah, for stealing some time to listen to me. I really appreciate it. Maybe you should come back and listen to the whole thing, right? Thank you. Thank you so much, Dinah. So we're talking about healthy confrontation. Let's say your spouse always like teasing you or saying certain things you don't like. You have to tell them, you know what? Anytime you tell me this is how I feel. I feel this way when you do ABC, and I would really appreciate it if you can stop doing it. If you talk to your spouse like this, I don't know any reasonable man or woman who will not listen to you. But for sometimes we don't tell our spouses what they are doing that we don't like. We keep it to ourselves, and then we ponder over it several times. We start getting angry, and then before you know, we just burst off. Boom! Then before you know, fights, insults, because you have kept the thing inside of you for quite a long time. Don't do that. If they do it today, you don't like, tell them, I don't like this. Please stop it. You are not making me feel loved. You are not making me feel appreciated. You are making me feel like stupid, or you're making me feel foolish. I would appreciate it if you stop it. Let's learn to talk to our spouses like this. And they would listen to you. And the more you do, the more you keep telling them that when you do this, like I got to a point like when my husband and I have like confrontation like this, I was so keen. I don't know if I'm still now, but I know initially I was very like keen on my personality. If you say anything that I feel you're attacking my personality, it's going to be a big fight. So maybe we're joking or he says something and I feel my personality is insulted. I'm like, hey, Kofi, I don't like that. I feel you're attacking my personality. So please stop. And sometimes he's like, what kind of personality? We are just joking. I'm like, no, I can't accept this kind of joke. It's affecting me emotionally. So stop. And as time went on, he understood. He knew certain things that he wouldn't tell me because he knows how I react towards that. So please learn to have healthy confrontations in your marriages. And it will help build it. Don't wait till last minute before you burst off and then destroy everything. No. Do baby steps and it will help. And listen to each other. It's also going to help a lot. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is decision making. When it comes to decision making in your home, how do you go about it? Some families, some spouses cannot just decide on anything. No, they can't. Because the husband is saying A, the wife is saying B, everybody is arguing, mine is the better option, let's take mine, and before you know, they get nothing done. When it comes to decision making, what do? You need to plan together as a couple. Understand each other's point, weigh the options, and come to an agreement. And my emphasis here is that once you come to an agreement, please don't bring the external family in it. I've heard of stories where the husband and the wife, my top 3 tips for healthy confrontation. Okay, when I finish, I will read what Jimmy is saying. Oh, this thing must stay. Okay, stay. All right, so decision making. When you agree to do something with your spouse, please don't go and talk to your family members and come back and tell your spouse that, I know we agreed on this, but when I spoke to my mom said this, so let's do this. That's so disrespectful. Or, I know we did this, but when I went to work and I told my friend, or I told my sister said we should do this, so let's go ahead. That's so disrespectful. Even if you discuss it with somebody else, maybe your parents, your siblings, and they give you an idea, you need to come back to your spouse and say, oh, we talked about ABC, and I discussed this with this person, my mother or my father, and this is what they said. What do you think? How can we apply what they said to this decision? That way, you are acknowledging, the importance of your spouse, and you are appreciating the discussion you had before. Don't come back and tell me that after we have agreed we are doing ABC, and then you come back and tell me that, but my mother said we should do this, so let's do that. Then what happens to me? You don't appreciate me. You don't think I'm wise enough, right? You don't think that what I said was smart enough. And this is what is happening in most homes. My mother said, my father said, my sister said, my boss said, my pastor said. No matter what it is, the two of you should come to an agreement first. Don't come pushing things on your spouse. And the worst thing is when you will be like, I said, and you go and do your own thing. The worst thing is when you just, decide to do things all by yourself without telling your spouse. So let's say that maybe my husband and I, we have agreed we are going to get a salon car. I'm just making an example. A salon car costing 12,000 or 5,000. And then we've agreed we are going to buy this car for 5,000. Only for you to come back and tell me that, oh, I saw a nice deal, so I'm going to get it. It's for 20,000. I mean, which spouse will be happy? That's just an example. Which spouse will be happy with that? And before you know you are fighting over unnecessary things, discuss with your spouse first. Make sure the two of you agree, especially if what you're going to do is so important. If you make your spouse feels important, or if you make them feel that, oh, he appreciates me when it comes to decision making, I tell you, you're going to build a healthy marriage. Healthy, stronger bond between the two of you, that the gate of hell cannot stand against you. So I'm hoping next week or next 2 weeks we would talk about how to handle misunderstanding and how to also deal with external families. But for today, I just want to say that be keen when it comes to decision making. Always know it is about what the two of you say first before any other person at all. Okay, the last one. There's a lot, but I just want to give these pointers. The last one is honesty, where we talk about authentic self. You can't be married and still lying and not being sincere to yourself. These things destroy homes. I'm telling you, they destroy home. If you are married, be an open book to your spouse. I don't know what you should be hiding from them, unless of course you are doing some draconian things. As a friend of mine would say, you are doing some fishy things somewhere. Other than that, be open, be authentic. You can only genuinely love somebody if you are an authentic person. You are real. You are honest. My husband would say, you see, if I can't be honest to anybody in this world, for my spouse, I need to be honest to her. I have to be an open book. I don't know what else you are hiding from your spouse. But if you are listening to me from today, I want you to be an open book to your spouse. Be real to them. Be honest. If you did the thing, say it. If you stole the meat from the soup, say it. Let them know you so well that even if somebody comes and say, oh, I saw your spouse doing this, or your spouse, they wouldn't be surprised because they know you. They know you so well. But if you keep hiding things, if you keep lying, it's like today you are sincere, tomorrow you are not. You don't build trust with this kind of behavior when you marry. So if you are marrying somebody you know you cannot be an open book to, please save yourself the stress. I heard the story of some lady saying that when you get married, for the first year or two, protect yourself. Don't get pregnant, so that you know the true character of your husband before. And when I saw that, I just laughed. I laughed and I was sad. Why would you get married a year or two to know the real self of your husband before you give birth to with him? If you are not sure of him, why are you marrying him in the first place? Please, let's think about this carefully. Why would you go into marriage with somebody you are not sure of? Marriage is not a game. It's not a Ludo game for you to say that, let me go and see who will win. Let me go and see. You are putting your head into something. Something that has spiritual implications, physical implications, emotional implications, everything implications, environmental implications. You think, unless of course you are even doing a secret marriage, even if you are doing a secret marriage, it has spiritual implications. Don't just marry for marrying's sake. Do your homework. It is better to wait for years and marry the right person than to rush and marry one person for a year or two and divorce. Please, let me repeat what I said again. It is better to wait for years, even if it is 12 years. Even if you have to marry at age 40, 50 to get the right man, the right woman to marry, than to rush and marry only to divorce after 2 or 3 years. That's what our elders say. Marriage is a long journey. You don't want to just go into it and just come out. It puts a lot of burden on you. You might think, oh, I marry and divorce when it doesn't work out. But do you know the implications for your own life? Even how your friends are going to see you, how the society is going to see you, how even yourself, how you're going to see yourself. Some people say, I don't care what society says, but I tell you, you can't run away from it. So please, I'm just sharing this few things. And I believe that these things have worked for me. The feeling of oneness, communication, where I talked about listening to each other and having healthy confrontation. And then I talked about decision making and be honest. And then I also talked about appreciating each other. I'll just say one point when it comes to appreciating each other. There's one thing we call appreciative enquiry. That is where you keep asking your spouse about your strength, sometimes your weaknesses, but most importantly, your strength. If you keep telling your spouse their strength, that strength will grow in them. Let's not focus so much on the weaknesses. Everybody has weaknesses, of course. But what we call the appreciative enquiry, you keep letting your spouse know, you are so good at this. You are so good at this. These are your strengths. These are the things that I appreciate about you. These are the things you can be good at. The more you tell your spouse who they are, the good things about them, the more they become better. So as you are appreciating them, you are telling them, I think you are good at this. I think you can be better at this. I think these are your strengths. You are best when you do this. You are best when you cook. You are best when you talk. You are best when you dress. You are best when you do this. The more they hear you talk about their strength, the more they get confidence. The more they love you. And you are doing it for yourself. I am not married to your spouse. I have my own spouse. You have your own spouse. How do you make them feel great with you? This is where I'm ending today. If you have decided to marry, make it a point to make your spouse feel great around you. If nobody will make them feel good, if nobody will make them feel great, if nobody will make them feel awesome, you being the spouse, it is your responsibility to make them feel they are the best thing you ever had. Don't be talking to them anyhow. Because if they go down, it goes against you. It doesn't go against me. If your spouse is not doing well, it goes against you. I think I'll end here. When all these things are in place, everything else will fall in place. The respect will come. The regular sex will come. The joy will overflow in your home. I pray that God will bless you and make you start developing a strong relationship with your spouse. A kind of relationship that the gate of hell cannot prevail against. A kind of relationship that nobody can stand against. A kind of relationship that people will stand and admire and say that I want to love my spouse like the way Sarah loves her husband, or like the way Jimmy loves Janet, or like the way Isaac loves Lydia. God bless you all. Before I go, let me read what Jimmy said. Jimmy said, my top 3 tips for healthy confrontation. Talk. He said the right time, the right intention behind the conversation, and the right words. Wow, this is so great. The right timing, the right intention behind the conversation, and the right words. Very important. If you confront at the wrong time, you are going to have a wrong reception. If you confront with a negative mindset, the intention is wrong, you're going to mess up things. And if you confront with wrong words, some people will go and say, hey, you're always doing this. How foolish can you be to do it? If you come to me telling me how foolish I am, I tell you the chat will not go well. So let's learn to use the right words. Thank you very much for sharing that, Jimmy. And he says that God bless you for pouring yourself out for the good of our marriages. Thank you so much. So I just want to find out, does anybody have any question for me or any suggestion? I just shared what has worked for me in my marriage and what is working for me. And of course, the grace of God is always available. But if God's grace is there and you are not doing your part, your marriage will be in shambles before you know. So I end here. If you want to get in touch with me, kindly send me a message and I'll be glad to chat with you. God bless you all and love you. Who's that? Oh, Mommy, we must avoid making assumptions for our partners. This is a great one, of course. Suspicion. I don't know if I have done a video on suspicion yet. I think I did. But being suspicious of your spouse will not end you anywhere. Always making assumptions. He didn't, for me, I would say, oh, he didn't do the light soup because blah, 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 blah. But that's not going to help. Thank you so much, Mommy, for sharing that. Please feel free to pour what has worked for you in your marriage. We are all learning from each other. Okay? Okay? Bye. Take care.